my friends. This is Rosa from Surviving and Laughing with Rosa. Today, I was gonna tell you a little bit of me, what happened to me after the transplant. I have a liver transplant, like a lot of you guys know. And after I have my liver transplant, I was, I got a complication. I got really, really sick, and they sent me back to the ER, and they ended up finding that I was having this bleed from my liver. They thought it was something they rupture or something, but they did all kind of tests and they figured it out that it was like if my like when you have a sponge and you put a lot of water on the sponge, how the water start coming out. Looks like that's what happened with my liver because they gave me too much blood thinners. So they told my daughter that they didn't know if I was gonna survive. And I was in so much pain. They gave me, I don't know exactly what they gave me, but I couldn't function anymore. And they talked to my daughter, and she was the one that signed the authorization for for them to do another surgery on me. They opened the whole entire incision again to try to clean up inside. And when they opened me, they found out that my liver was dying and it had damage like 60%. So they put me back right away on a new list, on a waiting list again, since I had just had my transplant uh, like 2.5 weeks before. So they had all the paperwork. So they just make me resign some papers and they put me back on the list. And since I had already the first surgery, I was kind of like on the top of the list, but they couldn't find another liver for me right there. And so they left me in the hospital a few days. Well, actually, I was there like for 2 weeks after the second surgery, and they were waiting that I was gonna come home, but they said that they wanted to wait a little bit more with me in the hospital and see if they can find another liver to do a second transplant right away. But they couldn't find one, so they were gonna send me home. But before that, they did some tests, and they said that my liver was doing some kind of a enzyme or some something that the liver do when it's regenerating. So they thought that we'll see, hopefully, but they didn't have much hope that this liver was gonna uh, be good so I can continue with this one. But thanks God, this regenerated itself, and I was in the waiting list for a year. And after a year, they took me off the list, and they said that my liver was good enough to leave this one. But I after I when I had my liver transplant, right away I was when I woke up and everything, I was very okay, in a lot of pain, but I felt okay. But I noticed that I was so sensitive. I was crying for everything. I don't know why, but I was crying all the time. And I even told my daughter, you know what, I never cried before. So probably this person that gave me the liver was very sentimental or a crybaby. That why am I crying so much? And I and then I started having these um, anxiety attacks. I couldn't breathe. I was like, and I thought I was gonna die in one of those because I was unable to breathe. And then finally, I will breathe. But I was so sick and in so much pain like never before. I thought I knew pain because every time I had a pain or I was sick, I would not complain. But this time it was more than what I can handle. So anyway, I got better. I went home, but every time I go to the hospital, I will feel sad because I wasn't feeling like normal, like back to myself. So finally, I asked one of the um, pers- person they, because it's like whole team, and there is the financial person, there is the pharmacy person, there is the PA, my main doctor, and social workers, you name it. So I was asking the guy that gave me the medicine that if the why I wasn't feeling like back to normal, and he told me it's too soon because the same and he asked me how long were you sick before you got the transplant. I said, oh, I was misdiagnosed like for 5 years. And he says, oh, that's gonna be about the same time that is gonna take you to feel more like normal, but you will never go back to normal because it's different. And I remember that when he told me that, I started crying like a baby. And then the PA came, and I didn't even remember what she asked me, and I started crying again. And he's like, oh Lord. I was so embarrassed. I was covering my face. My daughter was with me, and she started hugging me, and I think she started crying along with me. And I told the doctor, but give me something so that I don't cry this much because I cry for everything. So they called my main doctor, and he came, and he said, you know what, Rosa, since you went through a lot of pain and a lot of problems with your liver transplant, we thought that you were going to get PTSD. When he told me PTSD, the only thing I knew is there is something that the veterans from war have. And I said, but I didn't went to war. What do I have to have the PTSD? I know I have anxiety, but PTSD? And he says, it's because it was a traumatic experience. And not everybody, but a lot of people ended up with PTSD, depending on how sick they were when they went into the surgery. It was something that I never expected. So they told me they wanted me to go to therapy. They didn't want to give me any medicine. And I just wanted some medicine so to stop feeling the way I was feeling. But they said, no, you have to go to therapy. But before my transplant and after my transplant, I used to have this nurse. They're supposed to be like my health management person, and she would talk to me and tell me what to do, and you need to do this and you need to do that. And she was really happy with me because she said that I always follow her instructions and that I was always happy and smiling and being funny. But after my transplant, I was always like blue, very sad, and she started asking me if I wanted to if I feel like killing myself, and I said no because I wish I can die, but I don't want. But I will never kill myself because I know that that's a really big sin, and just in case the hell exists, I don't wanna try my luck. And she told me, Rosa, I noticed that you're not the same. You're not the same. I said, but I asked for some medicine and they don't want to give it to me. And I don't know why I feel this way. So I started going to therapy, and the guy that I went to have this therapy, he had a sister. They had a transplant too, but she got sick. Looked like one of her friends had some kind of pneumonia or something, and she visited her, and she caught the pneumonia, and this girl died. But he was telling me that a lot of his patients are with transplant. They have some kind of transplant. A lot of them liver. And then when the sister was alive, they noticed that she changed a lot on her personality. So eventually, they met the family of the the sister's donor, and talking to them, they realized why the sister has changed that much. And he told me that the liver is one of the organs that they keep some memories, and that I was not gonna go back to myself. That I was, but that he was gonna help me to get used to my new me, because um, I did change some in some things. I was like, I didn't like to get to wear any makeup. I will dress with anything. And before, I was always matching my shirts and my socks, and being more better, with better combinations and better dressed than after. But I just didn't feel like it. And so talking to him, it was so weird that how we can inherit. So probably that's what, but some of our donors um weight ways. And like in my case, I have a male liver. So it was a man that donated me the liver. So maybe that's why sometimes I feel like I just don't want to use any makeup, and I don't care. I like short hair, and it's unbelievable. But you don't go back to normal, and you have so many issues because, like, people with cancer, if they go in remission, then they go. Sometimes they get cured, but since we have something that is doesn't belong to our body, the body tries to reject it. So we have to have always this medicine to keep our immune system down, so it will not fight our liver. But the way that doesn't fight the liver, it doesn't fight any other sickness. I remember I was for a whole year at home after my transplant, and the doctor told me, you know what, now you can go out and do whatever, travel wherever you want to do. And 2 weeks later, everything was closed because of the COVID. So I called, and they told me, just pretend that you just have the transplant. And at the beginning, they didn't let me have anybody to visit me in the hospital, nobody to visit me at home, only my daughter that was my caregiver. And little by little, we kind of uh, let my boyfriend come to the hospital, and he was hiding from the doctors because there was one of the doctors that was really strict, and he said nobody other than your caregiver. But after he saw me and walking, and he was with me, and he was always with me, taking me around walking, because they don't have enough people to take you around walking. Then they didn't say anything, so they were the only two. But you have to be careful all the time. You have to wash your hands. You have to not to be close to people that is sick. You have to take medicine every single day, 4 times a day, and they're like 30 pills. Some very big, some small, but that's my life. That uh, that's the only way that I can stay alive, taking all these medicines. And sometimes I get very low on my magnesium, so I start having cramps. And for some reason, the insurances, they don't let you have tested for your magnesium levels often, and they don't let you, like when you go to your physical every year. I don't understand why they don't do some kind of test for the liver if it's only one liver that we have, and you cannot live without without it. When you can live with only one kidney or without your gallbladder, but they don't do it. So now when I start feeling pain, I take extra magnesium because I know there is the magnesium. I went to the hospital already twice, and they connect me to an IV like for 4 hours. So you never go back to normal. A lot of people think that once you have a liver transplant and that you're gonna be back to normal. But no, you never go back to normal. You try to live the best you can. You try to go traveling and everything, but you have to take extra precautions, and you always have to carry with a bunch of medicine every time. And even when I go, they told me if I want to go out of the country, I need to let them know where I'm going, and they can find a place, a hospital close where I'm going to be in case of an emergency. I don't know if it's because my liver died for 60%, and then it got back to kind of back to normal in my own body, that I haven't got a rejection episode. And really weird because uh, most most of the people, they have rejections, and it's hard. But thanks God I haven't got one. I had two hernias because the incision is so big that they said that it's very common. And I remember the first time they did a CT scan and they found out I had a hernia that I didn't felt. But the second time I drink something and it went like the wrong way. And when I coughed very strong, I kind of felt something in my stomach. It wasn't painful, but I felt like something. And I kept feeling it and feeling. And finally, I went to the doctor and I said, you know what? I need you to. I think I have a hernia. And he says, another one? I said, yes. The first one, they waited until I was a year after my transplant because they didn't want to risk it because of the how bad I was during the transplant. So after a year, they did it. And then the following year, they did another one. So I had two. They opened me twice for the transplant, and I have two hernia repairs. So part of my stomach is been open 3 times in the same place. So I have very hard um, scar tissue, and a lot of my pants bothers me. My skin is so sensitive. I have to use a lot of sunscreen because I'm very prone to skin cancer. So these are all those little things that make it a big thing when you have a liver transplant. So it's not easy. So I tell people, be careful what you're drinking. If you're drinking too much, or just be careful with your liver. because it's a lot of people with alcoholic cirrhosis. Mine was due to fatty liver, where they never noticed until it was too late. But uh, I just tell you guys, be careful. It's not easy just to say, well, I can get a transplant. Besides that, it's so painful, so expensive. It's very big list, waiting list, and a lot of people, unfortunately, die waiting for their liver. So please take care of yourself. And this is another one of my experiences in life. So thank you for listening, and God bless you. Bye.